And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast right here on the On SI Network. I'm your host, Grant Sashray, joined here by Jeremiah Artacho. We're both beat writers for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. We know we've had a very busy week leading up to fall camp, and it's going to get even busier as earlier today we just got back from the Coleman Practice Complex on the beautiful campus of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It was a great day, a great opportunity to see the team for the first time heading into the season. Really, because it's also the finalized roster for the season, right? Because during the spring, obviously there's a lot of moving and turning. You got guys transferring in, and of course after the spring's over, you have guys transferring in and out. So this is the official roster going to the season, unless, obviously there's things could happen, but this is the finalized roster as we begin fall practice. Max Johnson returned. We got an idea of what the offensive line is starting to look like. Bill Belichick gave his thoughts. And also it was great to hear from Max Johnson himself, after he had that nasty injury last season, and really you thought, could he even play football again? Right, and there was times where even Max Johnson said, I nearly lost my leg. So it was amazing that he's been back. And but Jeremiah, just your thoughts about just this first fall practice and how exciting is it right now that football is just a month away right here in Chapel Hill?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity to see all the guys out there, all of the players on the roster, hear from Bill Belichick, and yeah, as you were saying, hear from Max Johnson after that crazy injury. And the moment he said that he thought he would lose his leg at one point, I feel like that really spoke, especially considering how his journey started at LSU and then Texas A&M. Now he's here in Chapel Hill fighting for a QB position. So just for him to be able to have this opportunity again to just play football and continue his career really spoke to all of us, I'm sure, in that room while listening. And then learning more from Caleb Hood and his decision to come back to Chapel Hill after talking to Bill Belichick. And also from Marcus Allen being one of the veterans on the defensive side of the football, and also Kamari House coming from Washington alongside defensive coordinator Steve Belichick, and Thaddeus Dixon, both of which who played in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, definitely, man. And there were some things that we weren't able to see much about today. Of course, we got a lot of good content from the man himself, Bill Belichick, and along with Max Johnson and Kamari House and Marcus Allen, and of course Caleb Hood. But we got a lot of content from that. But we didn't really get enough from practice, and that was expected. We knew that it was going to be a guarded practice with the new regime, and we know that Bill Belichick can be a little bit secretive, even though he has spied on other teams' practices before. But we do know he doesn't really like to give things away. And the open practice session lasted around 15 to 20 minutes. And, like I said, it was restrained for the most part. And really just talking with other members of the media, because I'm new here. And so are you, Jeremiah, but you've been on campus. You've been on campus. You're a UNC fan, so you're more familiar with the program than I am, even though it's your first, year covering the beat. But from talking with the other members of the media, under Mac Brown, things were, relaxed. I mean, you could actually move around the field and see what was going on. But today's practice saw what it could look like. I mean, that actually looked like what that's how the NFL is too. Which is kind of funny that makes sense why Bill Belichick went with that, right? Because when I used to be an intern when I was in college in New Orleans, when you used to go to cover the Saints, the media could only be in a certain section of the field, and it wasn't that big. And that's what that kind of reminded me of. And then also, we got to see the offensive side of offensive players. So that was a good thing. However, you didn't really get the chance to see the defensive players, and really the defense had a chance to be good. So you like to see more of the defense because the offense practice on the field closest to the media. the defense practiced
Yeah.
further away. So there's that. I mean, of course, the players had their numbers on their jersey, unlike the spring. Um,
Hmm.
and as I mentioned, the offense, we were able to see most of the offense. Um, but for the players, Max Johnson was back. He looked ready to go since breaking his femur last season. He looked really comfortable, but obviously you could
Oh
see
yeah.
that he was wearing a leg sleeve at
Oh yeah.
practice today.
He had that leg
That
sleeve.
was pretty noticeable. And also we got to get our first glimpse of Gio Lopez because he was not here in Chapel Hill during the spring. And the thing is, he's actually the smallest. He might be the smallest quarterback on the roster, right?
Hmm.
Everybody else on the roster is at least 6'3". Because Bryce
Yeah.
Baker's 6'3", Max Johnson 6'5", Torrey Newkirk is 6'3", and he's 6 foot, but that's his listed height. So he could be
Mm.
like 5'10", 5'11", and he's the smallest
Oh
quarterback.
yeah.
But it looks like he looks the part for sure.
Yeah, for
And
sure. He looked
and it,
comfortable.
yeah, oh yeah, and Jeremiah, the most interesting fact that we found
Mhm.
out today that 4 of the 6 quarterbacks in
Oh yeah.
USC's rosters are left-handed. Max
Yeah.
Johnson, Gio Lopez, Andreas Miaras, and Atari Newkirk.
Yeah, tons of lefties, interestingly, in the QB room underneath Bill Belichick in his first year, which is pretty interesting. I mean, how often do you see lefties in football in general? I mean, first one that comes to my mind is Michael Vick. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of left-handed quarterbacks. People don't realize it. There's not a whole
mhm.
lot,
Yeah.
which is pretty shocking. I mean, now of course there's a lot more right-handers than are left-handers.
Hmm.
That's how it's always been in
Yeah.
society and genetics. But there's not many times. If you get 2 lefty quarterbacks,
That's already a lot. Two's already a
that's right.
lot.
Two's already a lot, right?
Two's
So
already a lot, but
usually
there's four.
4, which is shocking. And if you start looking at the list of left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL, there aren't many throughout the history of the NFL. There aren't many,
Mm.
not just the NFL right now. I'm talking about just the history of the National Football League too. So it's pretty interesting that there's 4 lefty quarterbacks on this roster. But of course, Gio Lopez, of course, is very talented. Max Johnson, even though he's had an up and down career, he's a very experienced quarterback, and he has had a decent career as a quarterback. And of course, Bryce Baker and Torrey Newkirk were 2 of the most highly rated quarterbacks in the country, especially Bryce Baker, who
Oh
was a
yeah,
top
Bryce Baker.
25 recruit
Hmm.
last season. But moving on to the rest of the observations, the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers all
Oh yeah.
participated in agility drills. The running backs and wide receivers then took part in ball security drills with running backs coach Natrone Means trying to poke the ball out with a stick. The quarterbacks
Hmm.
also worked on handoffs,
Oh
taking
yeah.
snaps under center, which is very interesting. And we knew that they were probably going to do more under the center stuff this season because they're going into more of a pro style offense. So that was no shocker there. But because the quarterbacks are still working with the running backs, there weren't any passes thrown to the receivers. Instead, wide receivers coach Gary McGee, he led
Oh
them
yeah.
in blocking and running drills. And the most interesting part about fall practice today, Jeremiah, was that we finally got a first glimpse of what the first team offensive line looks like, and
Oh
it's not
yeah.
much.
We saw
It's
him.
not much. Well, not much. Well, what I mean, it's not what I mean. Not much. I don't know why I'm saying not much. That's a lot. But Miles McVay is your starting right tackle, which kind of shocked me because
Mm.
I often slotted either Willow Steen or Travion Green in that spot. If you look at any of my my fall camp previews and my prediction, my offensive depth chart prediction, and also my offensive line projections, that's what I thought it would look like. But Miles McVay is the starting right tackle. Austin Blasky moves from center to right guard.
Hmm.
Christo Kelly, who
So
transferred
Kelly.
in from Holy Cross over
Holy
the spring,
Cross.
he's now at center. He was an all-conference center at Holy Cross, but I didn't expect him to make. Now he's a decent center, but I didn't expect him to be a starter on the offensive line. Aiden Banfield, of course, he started as a true freshman last year. Only allowed 1 sack last season, which is really impressive for a freshman.
Oh yeah.
He was the starting left guard, and then Travion Green was the starting left tackle. That was the first group that went through the blocking sled drills. And of course, Connor Cox also. I didn't put this in my notes. I don't know. I didn't. But Connor Cox was the first team tight end for the offense.
Yeah. Yeah, this offensive line will obviously be crucial, especially for the running backs, whoever the starting running back will be, whether that's Caleb Hood, who we heard from today, or maybe Davion Gause that we have yet to hear from. Maybe we'll hear from him soon in one of these media pressers. But yeah, this offensive line, protecting whoever the QB is and whoever is running the ball. I mean, that's just going to open up a lot of yards to be gained throughout each drive. So whoever the offensive line is definitely going to be the best with Bill Belichick there as a head coach. So
Yeah, definitely. And I really too is that, and I've talked about. I think I've talked to some past pod. I've talked about this in past pods, and I've definitely written about it. But one of the main concerns is, there's a lack of production from the offensive skill players, right? And you've already, you lost Amar and Hampton, right? He's off to
yeah,
the
off to the
NFL.
NFL
Doing,
Chargers.
yep. He got some action in the Hall of Fame game the other night, first round pick. So you have to replace him with either Davion Gause, who know he's solid, right? He did some solid things even in limited production last season, but
Yeah.
he's not a proven commodity in the backfield, right? Caleb Hood is somebody that has been he's seen the injury tent, well, not the injury tent. He's been in the rehab center more than he's actually seen playing time. It's not knock against him, but can he be reliable enough to stay on the field and be healthy? And that's really been
For
his
sure.
biggest knock throughout his time
For
in
sure.
Chapel Hill. Matter of fact, I think if I remember correctly, I think he maybe is like Gio Lopez gained around 450 yards of rushing last season. Caleb Hood is barely over that total in 4 years in Chapel Hill. That's how much he's been injured. And this is a guy who, remember, started a good bit in 2022. That was someone
Oh yeah.
asked Caleb Hood about that. He actually was
Yeah.
a starter in 2022. He just hasn't been able to see the field, and that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. And
Consistency.
also in the running back room, you also have Benjamin Hall, another guy who, he did come over from Michigan, but he barely played at Michigan. So there's a lack of proven commodities in the not only the offensive skill position, but at running back, which has been one of UNC's better position groups in
Oh yeah.
recent memory. In every
For
year,
sure. Yeah.
every
Running
year
back.
seems like they have
Running
another
back.
running
Yep.
back.
Yeah, UNC has always been known for running backs. It's similar to how in UNC basketball there's always been a good point guard, but it's like that's my comparison at least. So whether that was like Amarion Hampton last season or Michael Carter a few seasons ago. So there's just always been a lot of good running backs in Chapel Hill. So it's going to be interesting to see who can step up and be that next like the running back for UNC.
Yeah, definitely, and also the thing is because we didn't see the receivers catch balls, and that's another position group that's kind of like okay, what's this group going to look like this season? Especially considering the fact that you don't really have that number one receiver. I mean, yeah, Kobe Payshore could be the guy. So can Jordan Shipp, but once again, is another unproven position group at the moment, right? Your two guarantees of two position groups are, that you feel comfortable with are quarterback because of the experience at that position, and then also the offensive line because you have a lot of depth, right? And I also didn't mention that on the offensive line, I didn't mention Daniel Keene or Willow Steen. Those two guys were two-time All-Conference selections at their respective schools. Willow Steen was a two-time All-Conference USA tackle. Daniel Keene was a two-time first-team All-Sun Belt guard. And neither of those guys were in the starting lineup for the first fall practice.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's just, that just shows you how deep this offensive line really is. And that's something you need, especially when you're in a transition period. If you're going to be in a transition period, you got to have the two most important things you want to have locked up are the quarterback's position and the offensive line. And I think, Bill Belichick and his staff will benefit from that, in my
For
opinion.
sure.
Even, even,
Absolutely.
even if they're a so-so offense, I still think they'll still benefit.
Absolutely. And for sure. And don't forget, it's only day one. Like, I mean, this is fall camp. This is only the beginning. So who knows? Maybe on September 1st against TCU, those two guys do end up starting. So a lot can change, which is all part of the sport.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And what were your thoughts about, just what are some things you were able to see, Jeremiah, at practice today?
Yeah, honestly, I just really liked seeing Max Johnson out there. I mean, after that injury he had and just being able to get back on the field. So obviously him, seeing Bryce Baker, I was really focusing on the QB room. And then obviously like to my right from where I was standing, I was looking at the wide receivers with Coach Garrick McGee just taking route running. They were practicing their blocks as well. So just able to see I'd say like two focal points in terms of positions, and then you also have the running backs as well. So it was really cool that we were able to have the offensive side like near us because obviously how are you gonna win games if you can't score? So just being able to see up close and personal what they were able to do, how Gio Lopez was looking comfortably in terms of his movement. And I mean, yeah, he may be smaller than the rest, but he was moving out there.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that's what you want to see. You want to see kind of some bright spots for this team this year. Because even though there's, of course, I like the fact that you have two experienced quarterbacks in that room. I like the fact that you have a lot of depth on the offensive line. I like and really the most disappointing part about today is that we really did get to see the defense because they were practicing on the other side of the ball. But I really think this defense has a chance to be really good this year, especially
Oh
with a
yeah,
guy like Steve Belichick.
Steve Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last year, when he was the defense coordinator at Washington, they had one of the better defenses in the country. And that was
yeah,
people forget that defense for Washington in 2023, the same one that went to the national championship game. That defense was ranking in the hundreds. Steve Belichick comes in, and they're the number 28 defense in the country, and they're second in the country in pass defense.
yeah. No, Steve Belichick being there is absolutely a game changer. I mean, of course, having guys like Thaddeus Dixon and Kamari House join along for the ride with his transition as well to Chapel Hill obviously helps. But I mean, he's definitely going to be a key difference maker on this coaching staff and be able to affect these players in ways that a lot of fans haven't seen in Carolina football, maybe ever.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be interesting. And I really like the quote that Kamori had today when he was talking about, because he was asked about the defense and what you were just talking about between the 2023 and then the 2024 differences in the defensive ratings. And he was like, yeah, last year was 2024 Washington defense, but this year is 2025 UNC defense. So I really like how he made the difference there, and he was really standing tall on like where he is now in his position here at UNC. So that just shows like one of many things. One that comes to my mind is just how much he embraces his new school. Two, he embraces his new role alongside his new set of teammates. So it definitely seems like there's a great bond that's forming behind those beyond the field and in those locker rooms, I should say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up everything for today. For your first recap of fall camp, and you're gonna have at least three more. We're gonna
Oh yeah,
have
3
another
more.
one on Wednesday.
It's
So
coming Wednesday,
yeah, stay
August
tuned
6th.
for that. Stay tuned for that, and then we're gonna have the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. Will be the open media availability days at the moment. So we got three more of these, and we're probably gonna see more and more as time goes on. But it's first practice, like they want to be guarded of what they let the media see, and I understand that completely. So that and hopefully you will get to see more. Maybe we get to see the receivers catch the balls this time, and maybe
Oh
we get
yeah.
to see some hitting. I think that's
Oh
what I
yeah.
want to see with this football. I want to see some hitting, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, one last thing before we end off. Oh, Grant, did you see the clip of Bryce Baker's throw to Adrian Wilson?
I have not yet. I have
Oh
not.
yeah.
I've been working. I've been trying
Mhm.
to put these videos together. I also took a nap, which was much needed after I was dealing with some migraines afterwards. But I have not. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to say, like, I'm sure if you're watching this right now, this pod, and you've seen that clip, that ball thrown by Bryce Baker was nicely placed, especially with two defenders all over the receiver. Yeah, that was a nicely placed ball. So I just wanted to see if you saw it and was wondering your thoughts, but you'll let me know further
Yeah,
along.
definitely, man. All
But yeah,
right, that's going to wrap up everything for today. I'm Grant Sastre, joined here by Jeremiah Tacho. We're two of the beat writers on North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to check out all of our work on the website. We're going to be posting a whole lot in these coming
oh,
days. And then also make sure to follow us. My Twitter handle is Sastre, at Sastre Grant, last name, first name. Jeremiah, same thing. Jeremiah Tacho, first name and last name. And then also make sure to follow us on Tar Heels on SI
that was on the
on
side.
Twitter. And then also make sure to follow us on Facebook as well. Same thing, Tar Heels on SI. That's if you're a Tar Heel fan, you want to check us out. That's probably the easiest way to see all of our articles because we release a lot, and of course we also have our own thoughts and tweets and whatnot. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But you
Wait,
guys,
Grant.
you go ahead.
Oh wait, don't forget, we're free.
That's right. We are
Don't
free. It's
forget.
for free.
Don't
Don't
forget.
forget, it's for free. You don't have to pay
No
subscription for it.
paywall. No paywall.
Everything's
No
free.
subscription. 100% free.
All right. That's gonna do it. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
And Wednesday is another day, so maybe we get to see more, but who knows?
Oh yeah.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.